Well, hello everyone, and welcome in to the Six Screens Telenetwork tonight. My name's Rick Farron, and of course, you can see we're not in our normal studio. I am out here in Buffalo, New York, and we are in a hotel room. And I got my wife Susan with us, and we're moving forward. We're going out to Illinois, and we'll do a program from Chicago out there. But anyways, I'm glad you're with us. Sorry for the delay tonight. We got on the highway. There was an accident of some type, and the traffic was backed up. We couldn't get to a motel. So here we are here now, and we're ready to go. We got the internet connection. I'm glad I brought my little hotspot. See this little here? That's what keeps the six screens going, is our little hotspot. So anyways, we're here. I'm glad you're here with us. We've been doing it now for 20 years, and we're not giving up now. We've never missed a program in all those years. So thank you for coming in and wanting to spend some time with us tonight. Well, we've got Stephanie, Lynn, Carson. Well, the program is called Justice for All, and Stephanie's making a big difference. She's trying to really wake the world up to what's going on with child abuse around the world, not just in the Watchtower, but she focuses on that. But child abuse is a big problem. Hollywood stars, politicians, you name it, big tycoons. A lot of problems going on in the world of child sex abuse. But the Watchtower, let me tell you something, they should be ashamed of themselves. They claim to be the only true religion, but what they do is apprehensible. It's just unbelievable. So anyways, let's bring Stephanie on right now. Say hello to Stephanie. Let's bring her on screen. Hello, Stephanie.
Hello. How y'all doing?
Well, we're doing good, Steph. My goodness gracious, you're looking wide awake. What, you just come back from the gym or what?
No.
Well, you look wide awake tonight and full of energy.
Oh, I've changed my life a lot the last few weeks, Rick.
So tell me,
I got a job. Yeah, I got a job. I haven't been working in a long time secularly.
Yeah.
And so I'm working, and I'm also developing my own company. I do it's like a stem cell treatment for hair loss. So I'm trying to get that going. And then we also offer classes for like permanent makeup. You know how, like, if the women, they'll put tattooed eyebrows. You've seen that, Rick?
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that. Yeah, those are ads too.
Or it's like lipstick. They call that lip blush, where it's permanent lipstick. Yeah, so we teach classes on how to do that. So I don't know. I just have decided I'm going to start living again. I've been so living in the space of darkness for a long time.
Wow. Well, one thing I noticed, but I noticed, Stephanie, you have beautiful hair. You really do. I noticed that when you came to the convention. You wear your hair very well. So that's good. You're trying to help other people.
Yeah, kind of a mess tonight. But
I'm 78 years old. I'm losing some of my hair, but that usually happens. So you might have a treatment for that. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stem cell derived, so it's the latest and greatest. I've got doctors and scientists in Italy that make the serum, and we import it. And so it's quite interesting. Yeah, so I'm feeling, I've got a new direction on life. So my husband and those around me have noticed that it's
good for Brian. No, I'll tell you something. In fact, I'm going to say this right. In fact, I've been talking to Susan and my wife about this week. Stephanie, in life, we all have to have a purpose. If we can have a purpose, that can give us longevity. Really, by having, and I'm so glad that you're starting something. And I'm sure Brian's going to help you with that. He's a very supportive husband.
Poor guy, he gets wrestled into all my projects. That's for sure.
Well,
But
that's good. He's a good guy. I met him at the convention. I think he's a really, in fact, I know he's a really good guy. Well, I do see we have Bree on with us too.
oh,
Do you want
good.
to bring her on now, or do you want to
Yes,
bring her on?
please. Yes,
You
please.
want
She
to
was
bring her on
having
now?
technical difficulties. Yes, please bring her on. Thank you.
I'm gonna bring Bree on, and then what we'll do is I'll be in the background here if you need me. So let me bring Bree on right now. Let's add it to
Thank you.
stage. All right.
Hello.
Hi, Bree.
Hi, love. How are you? I
Good.
made it.
Technology is fun, huh? I think last week we met on Zoom. And all the different applications are different. So thanks for figuring it out.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Took me a minute. Here
And-
I am.
And Rick has got the dedication. Look at that, set up in a hotel room
I
on the
know.
road, and
Thank you, Rick. Woo.
nothing holds him back. I'll tell you. Go ahead, Rick.
Well, thank you, Bree. Thank you. Yeah, we're on the road. We've been doing the program now for 20 years, and we're not giving up now. We're going to go full speed ahead. So I'll cut you two loose, and you guys can get with it and say whatever you want. I'm here if you need me, so let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
So, go ahead.
I kind of jumped in here. I know you were chatting. I caught your hair does look great.
Oh, well, it doesn't feel great tonight. I don't think I rinsed all the conditioner out of it very well. Speaking to a hairdresser here. This is my cousin Bree, y'all. So I brought Bree on tonight because, the subject is justice for all. And Bree herself has never been one of Jehovah's Witnesses. But what the world is currently going through has a lot of similarities to the cult. And Bree and my family history involves, the greater cult where the Watchtower sprung out of. So she's familiar with their tactics and stuff. But this podcast is about civic awakening and becoming aware to the greater world around us, and how politics and religion play its hand collectively to steer humanity. So tonight, I thought it was just most appropriate to bring you on because the world suffered a great loss recently, one that we're all feeling. And it doesn't really matter what side of the aisle we sat on, whether it's left or right. I'm finding that even those that weren't friends with Charlie Kirk, on the same wavelength, if you will, are still speaking out about the man that he was. And but I brought Bree on tonight because she has a story of her own to share. One of triumph, one of loss, and she knows this grieving process all too well. And we're all shook by what we saw on TV, but Bree especially. Would you like to share yourself with the audience?
Yes, thank you so much for your introduction. I do know all too well and too personally what so many are experiencing right now with the loss of Charlie Kirk. My oldest son, Dakota, was also murdered. It was 10 years ago. The similarities as far as why he was lost or how he was lost, whether it was free speech or just he was killed by an illegal alien, somebody that wasn't supposed to be here, somebody's family who wasn't supposed to be here, but this is just part of the process that we're all going through. Maybe not so much with Charlie Kirk's actual assassinator, but other murders that have been going on and that have occurred in the last
Broken policies. broken policies, whether
Thank
it's the child abuse, hidden child abuse, or those that are hiding amongst us that shouldn't be here. Not all of those that are coming across the border are bad and evil, but those that wish to do evil hide in those places.
And it's such an easy cover for them to hide amongst.
Yes.
But as far as with the loss of Charlie Kirk, that was for his beliefs.
Right.
And yet, where are we today with our beliefs? And so it just puts such a new spin on not just freedom of speech, but freedom of our beliefs and what we can and cannot say. And, my son's case technically will always be a cold case. The suspect or person of interest, shall we say, because character is as character is. You are what you are, unless you put the effort in to change. And this was a very evil person, and so my son wasn't the first person that he attacked, and so he was in jail, but he's I believe that which doing it dark always comes out in the light, and my son did his duty, and his perpetrator is in an insane asylum, in a state asylum. So yeah, he's never going to get out. So I believe in that regard that my son served his own justice in his own way, and that again goes to my belief. Justice was served.
Yeah,
and
justice does come in different ways,
Exactly.
And unfortunately the system is failing us.
Very much
so
so.
What I wanted to talk about, thank you for sharing
You're
your
welcome.
experience with us, and I know this has been an exceptionally difficult time for you. We've done a lot of talking over the past 10 years. You and I both been going through things, you especially, that darkness. But we've been doing a lot of talking this week, and when something happens that affects you, whether you knew the person personally or not, this does affect us all. This is a good example of what justice for all could feel like. This was an injustice that is shaking all of us, no matter what our belief systems are. I'm not saying, conservatives are right or wrong. It's the death of another human, and what he stood for, was freedom of speech and opening dialogue. But what you said something about his beliefs, dogma. I wanted to talk about dogma tonight, and how the system of belief that I came out of is the Jehovah's Witnesses, and they do excommunication if you veer your thought process anywhere different from the collective. That's what dogma is. Dogma is a set of beliefs accepted by a group of people. So it's a set of beliefs accepted by a group of people. Didn't say it was the truth, did it? It said it's a set of beliefs.
Exactly.
So that's the beautiful thing about the human experience, is that we are here to learn and grow. If we stay baby, right? If we stay a baby, we will never grow into maturity and the oneness and the with God and with each other, right?
Right. But not only do we grow, we evolve.
Which means we could change our thought processes.
Exactly. Because as we gain more knowledge, knowledge is power. And the more you gain, that's And that's what I'm hearing. That's the new rhetoric and what's going on. Charlie was changing his thoughts.
I
Some of
wanted to talk, I wanted to talk about that with you. Yeah, I have a funny thing. I always tell my husband that it doesn't matter how many times I change my mind, I'm still right. I also tell him that he'll never have to have an affair because I have enough personalities to keep him entertained for a lifetime. but no, it's so true. You know, dogma is strictness. You know, if you could compare it to maybe so religious dogma, the strictness of religious dogma could be compared to maybe communism,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And if you're going to compare it to communism, you got to throw socialism in there too.
All those isms, right?
All that, right. That's all the exactly all the isms. Yes. You can't.
Which
Yes.
Zionism would be one of them.
Oh,
But
that's
but
one
yeah,
of the things that hit me the most. But that's, I think, another topic other than for tonight.
yeah. So the excommunication thing really kind of woke me up this week with what had happened with Charlie. I'm not as Christian as Charlie. I have Christ-like viewpoint, but I'm more spiritual, right? Same with you.
Yes.
I didn't necessarily agree with everything Charlie did, said, believed, but I respected what he was trying to do.
Not just trying, but he was doing it.
He was doing.
Opening the dialogue to open the minds.
Mm-hmm.
What I loved most about him was that by opening the dialogue and opening that back and forth, the tennis match, so to speak, the conversation.
What do
And
you?
a lot of times he would just really be asking that person to help him understand them.
Mm-hmm.
So really,
right. Help me understand where you came to that conclusion.
And by doing that, that would a lot of times, I think that's why people got so frustrated, or maybe I don't know if frustrated is the right word to use, but where they would maybe feel he was talking down, but he wasn't talking down. It was he was asking you to explain yourself. And
Right.
some people would get
Where
so
does the belief come from?
like, wait a minute, this really isn't, is this really what I believe? Or is
Mm-hmm.
this what I'm taught to believe?
Yeah.
And I
that too.
was what,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't so much calling people out, but in an essence, it kind of was.
Right.
Calling them out to themselves, not calling them out to like the world, but calling them out to themselves and what their real beliefs were, or is that what somebody
Mm-hmm.
else is instilling in you, the dogma?
Right. And those of us in this group here, most of us have left a set up dogmatic religion, and we've come out into this big world. I want to talk a little bit more about the excommunication thing because it ties in later to the rest I want to talk about. So I've been excommunicated from the Jehovah's Witness cult. Later in life, I joined another cult called the Sisters of the Valley. You remember this experience I had. Better known online as the Weed Nuns. It was a coven of women that were earth worshipers, if you will. I was excommunicated from that group. And then my husband and I were excommunicated economically from his job during the COVID stuff. He was required to take the vaccine in order to stay employed. And he had a good job. We were set. Remember, we were living in the mountains. I mean, it was beautiful.
It was.
Life was good. And but so we had to, quit that job and look for another job. And I know the struggle that we've been having over the last 5 years, if you will, because of the vaccine mandate. So that was another excommunication that I went through, if you will.
And that's a very interesting excommunication for so many.
Mm-hmm.
For so many that I know that there were probably a lot more ex-JWs that were in that first responders group because those types of jobs, a lot of us that experience this type of trauma, we want to give back and help out
Mm-hmm.
and lean more into the service oriented, whether it's, restaurant, medical, but it's that service that need to serve.
Right.
And so
I
don't think so many I love how you connect those dots, and I don't think so many
Yeah,
do.
I connect a lot of things that seem random, but they're not. So the vaccine mandate, right? So that's another way we were excommunicated. So I'm noticing cult mentality outside of Watchtower. I'm noticing that mentality in the world. Does that make sense? And the way it operates, like a bigger cult. And then I was actually just excommunicated.
Smaller doll right inside the other doll and just keeps getting
Yeah, like the little Russian dolls, right?
Yep.
And then just this last week, I was excommunicated again in an ex-Jehovah Witness Facebook group because of something I posted about Charlie Kirk. And I said, this is not a political post. This is a humanitarian post. And I didn't say I agree with Charlie. All I said, let's go in and read what I said, shall we?
Yes.
I remember I sent it to you.
You did send it to me.
Yeah, I said something along this line. The mindset of a Jehovah's Witness is this, quote, agree with my ideology or else you will die. Jehovah's Witnesses are genocidal freaks. And the ex-Jehovah Witnesses who cheer on the death of Charlie Kirk have not outgrown the genocidal ideology of Watchtower. Think about that. As a little Jehovah Witness girl, I used to come knocking on doors like your door because you weren't a Jehovah Witness, right? I used to come knocking with my little Bible magazines, and I would tell you, take my magazines or my God's going to kill you. Or how about my little friends on the playground, or at school? No, I can't eat one of your cupcakes for your birthday because Jehovah's going to kill you.
Yeah.
Why? Because you didn't believe the dogma my religion, my mother's religion gave me. You didn't believe that, so you deserve to die. Charlie Kirk had different beliefs than me, different beliefs than you, different beliefs than a lot of people, even people within his own circle. That's the thing people don't understand. Just because I maybe repost somebody's something on Facebook, or maybe you and I are seen in public, we're still different people. My dogma is individual to myself, just like your dogma is. But it's not really dogma because you have an open mind and I have an open mind. We've morphed and changed.
It's that
all gain knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So I did start watching, and I have met Charlie Kirk, because of the work that I do. I go out into the political world, so it's not like I haven't met this man. I know him, not know him, but my daughter runs in the same circles.
Yep.
His wife, Erica, dated a man that my daughter also dated before she married Charlie, and they're the same age group and they live in the same town, this is close and personal. If I didn't have just started my job, I'd be flying down there to go to his funeral, just because it's the right thing to do. But I did start watching his podcast because, I kind of wanted to see what what's being said.
Mm-hmm.
And J.D. Vance, the vice president, hosted the first podcast, Charlie
Friday.
Kirk podcast.
Friday, yes.
And now other big influencer names are coming on and hosting. And the last one that I watched, it was Tucker Carlson, who's far right. But the big deal is right now, and you maybe can explain this better, Charlie was being given a hard time because he was giving Tucker Carlson a stage to talk from. Do you know about this?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about it, please.
So let me just give you the background and premise like what I know and what knowledge I have would be from, I follow Candace Owens, and she's been talking, I started following Charlie back in the day when it was Charlie and Candace, and then there was this other young lady called, her name was Tommy Lauren, who's now on, I think, Fox. But she actually, out of like the group that I started following, it was right before or right after Dakota's death, because he was murdered in 2015, which is all right around that same time where they started to really.
Oh, right. And they were about your son's age, so of course you're paying attention to where these kids, you know.
Birthday, they're 2 weeks apart. Dakota's birthday is September 30th, and Charlie Kirk is October 14th. They're 14 days exactly.
So was George Floyd. His birthday was October 14th.
Nuh-uh.
You're
just gonna give me another one of those, are you?
Well, just saying, you know, take for what you want, but yeah.
Oh, please don't get me started on conspiracies. That's not what tonight's about.
So, right. It's not about conspiracy.
So, I'm sorry, I digress. I want to make sure I get your question correct. Is regarding Charlie.
Where we're going with this is Tucker. You know, Charlie has the world's largest political stage. Okay.
So, my understanding is because of Tucker's stance on Israel.
Right. That's where we're going. And didn't we talk about dogma and the isms? Excuse me.
The isms.
You know,
yes.
the dogma of strict religion could be compared to the isms.
So what I wanted to actually
Zionism.
When we started talking about connecting the dots, this is what I was actually trying to get at earlier today in our conversation, was you always are talking about the Zionists.
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was trying to explain this to my husband, Wayne. I was like, just like in Christianity, there are different sects, SECS, sects.
Right. They'll branch off and have their own ideas.
Catholicism, then you have Christianity, but yet Catholicism and Christianity are really, anyway, don't get me started there. But in Christianity, you've got your Latter-day Saints, your JWs, all of these that they're not Christian, they're offshoots. And
the Millerite movement, where you and I came from our strange family background. Yeah, with the, meetings in the middle of the woods.
So like all of these little, different things, what people don't understand is it's the same in the Jewish culture and Judaism. Did I say that right?
Judaism, I think.
The same thing. You have the good, the bad, and the indifferent. So, related to in Christianity, we would say JWs are like the top worst because they are related. They're considered a terrorist group in Russia and other countries, I believe, but Russia for sure.
Yeah.
But we don't recognize them as a terrorist group here because they're a religious group.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlie was started, that's where they're saying where his thoughts were changing, was he was not so much with the
Zionists. He was starting to question Israel, and wasn't seeming to be as cozy and friendly with them.
Why does Israel have their hand? And but ultimately, it's why is Israel basically running the U.S.?
Well, I have a little thing I'm going to play, and I hope that people can hear it.
So now for Israel, which we're saving for last.
Okay, so I'm hoping people can hear this. It's a little short clip I'm going to play here.
5:14 means several things. If we remember, Yahweh exiled the Canaanites from Israel because of their child sacrifice and pagan idolatry of Moloch. They became the wanderers and eventually the Khazarian mafia that would rule our world. In 1917, the Rothschilds, leaders of the Synagogue of Satan, purchased Palestine from the English via the Balfour Declaration, which neither party had the right to buy or to sell. Palestine belonged to its rightful heir, the Palestinians, who are the biblical Hebrews, the true Israelites. So much indoctrination has led us to believe that the Palestinians were the occupiers and that the Ashkenazi Jews, descendants of Cain and the Khazars, had been displaced and therefore entitled to return to their homeland. This is the biggest political propaganda scam that the Rothschilds, with the aid of Zionist author Theodor Herzl, have perpetuated. But let's think about it. What greater vengeance than to take Israel back from God as revenge for their ancestors' expulsion? Imagine Satan on the throne of Jerusalem.
So I'm wondering if it might be what Charlie was starting to figure out. So, satanic ritual abuse.
And
The Canaanites. It's where we're at in history again.
it's never stopped.
No, it's never stopped, but our eyes are being opened.
Exactly. It's back in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
been what you do in the dark comes out in the light. It's been well, quote, hidden for decades, or not decades, but centuries.
My theory has been, with the work that I do with trying to change legislation, and I haven't been able to share with the audience. Brian and I went to Harrisburg last week. We're waiting to hear back from him. Pretty confident that we're going to have legislation written to end ecclesiastical privilege in the state of Pennsylvania. And we do have other states that we're working on at the same time, Florida being one of them. So my whole theory on the ecclesiastical privilege and becoming civically involved with change, that's where change happens. Change doesn't happen in these echo chambers. This is you and me talking. This is great. But change, we have to go to our legislators. We have to go to those that have the power to move the needle. And Pennsylvania is the birthplace of religious freedom. Pennsylvania is a commonwealth that comes from our founding long before the Declaration of Independence was written. Pennsylvania was home of several little pocket groups, almost like we see happening today in Oregon and in other places like this, these hippie type movements where people come together, like my Sisters of the Valley, the Weed Nuns, just a bunch of little ladies.
Our family, part of the Butler area, growing,
right. Our family history is from that Millerite movement, which the Amish, a lot of people are familiar with who the Amish are. They come from the Millerite movement, but the founding in Pennsylvania is that religious freedom, and the religious freedom that they were fleeing from at the time was the churches, the Catholic Church specifically, and their indulgences. They're being able to pay to play, if you will. Just give us 2 gold coins and we won't mind that you're raping little boys, which is where the Canaanites then, came in again. and defiled that which is good, meant to be good. I'm not saying religion and dogma is good. The concept of it is good, somewhere to collectively come together, community, share ideas,
Fellowship,
build,
the
build
networking, like
community. Yes, I've got 3 eggs. You have a chicken. Let's trade. Yeah, exactly. Because I need some meat, you need some meat, or whatever.
got the
Right.
butter, got the eggs,
Which is utopian. We all wish for that utopian, but that all started here, and I think I digressed and I got way far away from what I was talking about. But
that's okay. We're good at that.
we are really good at that. But my point is, I've believed that it would be the Christians, the Charlie Kirks of this world, that would cleanse the church, if you will. We're living through that same time period when Martin Luther hung the proclamations on the church doors and said, no, because you're doing these things, you're dogmatic, you're not following the way it's supposed to be. Almost like a turning of the tables, like when Jesus went into the temple. And I do believe it's those with the pureness. I'm not saying Charlie Kirk was pure. I'm saying what he stood for, his image, what he is in this play that's being Shakespearean experience that we're living through.
Oh, yes.
What an experience, right?
Yeah.
What he portrayed is what we all used to think America was. The Norman Rockwell.
Exactly. He is the epitome of the
American
all-American boy turned into family next door. Every neighbor you would want to ever have.
Right.
Right. They're just the white picket fence family.
But I do believe it will be the Christians that once again expel the Canaanites from amongst themselves, just like Yahweh did at that time. Whatever you think God might be, in my definition of God, that's you and me and everybody else that really wants to fight this. We are the force. And fortunate for you and I, we live in America where we can
exercise that.
We can exercise, and we're expected to exercise that right.
We are.
And
that's something too that I just wish you would clarify in the media, which of course with legacy media, but clarify the difference between, yes, free speech is free speech, but let's be real. Nothing in life is free, and everything comes with consequences.
Right.
So really hate speech, they want to talk about this whole hate speech thing. So that's where, well, you can't have freedom of speech and then be sitting here talking about
where do you draw the line? And that's the big question. Where do you draw the line? Do you completely take religion away? Is that the answer, like Japan is doing? In Japan, it's now illegal. It's child abuse to spiritually educate your children.
Basically, they're calling it an indoctrination.
Right, which it is, but if you're not indoctrinating your children, then who is? The government? Well, how, who are we trusting? Who are we trusting? Yeah. So that's where we are with all of this. And then, so I want to tie before we open this up to the phone lines for other people to come in and talk with us. the bottom line is, you know, we have our freedoms here in America. They were based on biblical principles, and those biblical principles are pretty simple. You know, thou shalt not kill. That's a good one to start with.
Yes.
How do you feel about that one, Bree? Do you think
Yeah,
that
right.
everyone would abide by that?
I wish we would or could have. Yeah.
Yeah, Dakota would still be here.
Yeah. And he was, he was a friend to everybody. He was
Yes, he was. Hmm.
just a good kid.
So, no matter, you know, what the listeners feel about Charlie Kirk's beliefs, you know, we must exit that dogma of excommunication and thou shalt die if you don't believe in my God, genocidal mentality. So,
Because he was exercising what all Americans dream of. His
right.
rights, exercising his rights to freedom of not just speech, but freedom of expression.
Mm-hmm.
And for so many, think about the influencers and everybody online. That's their freedom of expression. That's what so many people. We can't do this in other countries. Welcome to the
Yes.
UK.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Here we are in America with free speech. So I'd like to open up, Rick, if you don't mind, the lines, communication, and see if anybody has any thoughts on how they think this might all tie in together to, you know, is there a bigger cult that is very similar to Watchtower at play here? And did Charlie stumble upon them? And, you know, we're not really talking conspiracies here, but a good man died. He was a father. He loved his wife.
And his
He
family.
loved his country. He tried to understand others around him. So, yeah, if anybody has anything they want to add to the comments, we'd love to hear from you. Or if anybody has anything they want to talk about, like the disfellowshipping of the governing body. I didn't get to tell you about that, Bree.
Oh, what I missed?
Three elders from the former Jehovah's, they're still Jehovah's Witnesses. They formed what's called a judicial committee against the Pope class, which are called governing body, the Pope class of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
And they went over all these biblical crimes that they committed, including encouraging their members to get the vaccine. Now that we know that some of these vaccines are causing death,
Yes,
and serious harm. And so these three former Jehovah's Witnesses have, or no, they're not former. They're still Jehovah's Witnesses. They excommunicated them. Eight members of the governing body have been excommunicated. Now we just have to wait to see it kind of play out. And then the rumor is going to spread amongst the organization. And there's going to be a divide. Those that, you know, want to stay for the dogma, they don't care what our governing body says is gold. Doesn't matter that Nana died from the vaccine and that little Susie Q now has heart problems, or all these issues that are coming from it. I'm just glad my husband and I had the sense.
I'm so glad you guys did not go through with that.
It wasn't about the vaccine for us. It was about being told it sounded like an ism. It sounded like communism. You have to take this vaccine, otherwise you can't earn a living. What?
Right. That's ridiculous.
It reminded me of Watchtower.
Yeah.
I know.
I may not have grown up in Watchtower, but I grew up next to a big family of Jehovah's Witnesses next door.
Yeah.
So I'm
Mhm.
very aware of a lot of um, rules and regulations.
You're right. Yes. Yes, you are.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
when I was,
Hey, Steph, this is Rick Farron. This is
Mhm.
Rick Farron, the Six Queens. We do not have a telephone line hooked up here because
Oh,
of the
okay.
configuration here in the room. But, so we do not have that here. So I wish we did, so people could kind of call in. But let me go back and check. You have a question, Susan?
Well, I just,
Well, go ahead. Say hello.
hi, this
Hi,
is Susan
Susan.
Farron, Rick's wife. I've been listening. Hello, honey. I just love what you're talking about, and I've been following, of course, this week, about Charlie Kirk, and I think one of the reasons that people didn't like him is because he made them look foolish. He always had
Mhm.
an answer,
True.
no matter he had answered what they said, and they didn't like it because he made them look wrong.
he
And
was,
he was never out to do that.
Yeah, Bree made a
So I
good
think
point. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just thinking that when you make someone look wrong and foolish, you don't like them. But
True.
he was always on the ball, and he had a reason or a scripture or he was really good at reasoning with people to getting them to
Mhm.
open their minds. And a lot of people did when they heard him give his his side of things, and they could say, hey, he's right. Why am I believing this way? If I want to follow God, then this is what I have to do. And he always had a good, but he never wanted to make them feel foolish. He just wanted to show them what God's side was, or what another side was, or there were other people that believed differently that they did, and it wasn't so wrong for them to believe that way. And that's why I like Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, and Bree had made a good point earlier when she was talking about him, how he just wanted to know why you believe that, not necessarily that you're wrong. Why do you believe what you
Right.
believe? And
Yeah.
here's what I believe and why I believe it. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. No, good comment, Susan.
yes, thank you, Susan.
Well, he would ask them, why do you believe this way? Why? And when they
Mhm.
couldn't give a good answer, and other people said, you really don't have a good answer, um, it just was a very, let's see, it was just a tense moment for people when they heard that maybe what they believed didn't have as much sense as they thought it did.
Yeah.
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 And I believe that goes back to something that you and I talk about a lot is, like self accountability. And
Mm.
so when he was basically calling people out, like, well, why do you believe that way? Oh, well, because this one believed that way. It's kind of like we grew up with, oh, well, if Tommy jumped off the bridge, would you jump off the bridge too? I mean, it's the same concept.
Right. Right.
Now it's a mindset and in the belief system, and so what? Because so and so believes this, you're going to just believe it, but why? Like,
Because you were told that, or the fact checkers said this,
and,
or
yeah,
like, what do you really believe? What does your gut tell you? What do your experiences,
and that's what he wanted.
conclusion you come to?
Yes, he wanted people to be more introspective of themselves.
Mhm.
And not.
Mhm. And
So
the beauty of that is what Tucker Carlson did when his when he did the Charlie Kirk show a couple of nights ago. Tucker, the way he was talking about how you're allowed to change your mind, and that's part of the human process. And even though everybody in that room was Christian, they didn't necessarily agree on everything. There's the Christians that believe in the Mary Magdalene story,
right.
that Mary Magdalene was Jesus' wife. They had a child. That this is the bloodline. That this is the bloodline of Christ fighting the ones that killed Christ.
Right.
It's these stories are ancient and old and told so that we can understand now. It's just like the stars in the heavens.
Yeah.
I know you follow the stars, but everything has been a misguidance. Our textbooks, even what we're being told right now as we watch tomorrow's history books being written.
Mm-hmm.
There in the future, Charlie Kirk is the JFK, the Robert F. Kennedy, the Martin Luther King.
Yes.
Of our day.
Absolutely. That he is.
We can speculate. We've come. I know you and I personally in our conversations have come to several different conclusions. Was it Israel that killed him? Was it some little boy? Was it this other guy that was arrested? Remember the guy was arrested, but then he was also at these other bombings.
Yeah, that claimed that he was the shooter. Yeah.
How is one person? How is one person at 9/11 and also at this bombing, a witness at this bombing, and a witness at the Charlie Kirk assassin? That's a lot of bad luck.
And you know how I feel about coincidences.
Oh yeah, no, there are none.
There are none, especially something like no.
Yeah, so then that's where the conspiracies come in, and conspiracies are not bad. Conspiracies are allowing your mind to stay open to whatever conclusion is going to present itself. Like Martin Luther King was assassinated. He was set up to be a martyr.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also financed by the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds, the same ones that bought the isms.
More isms.
Yeah, more isms. He was funded by the Rothschilds and Albert Pike. He was a 33rd degree Mason. He wrote this thing. I know I talk to you about it all the time. The plan for the 3 world wars, right?
Oh, yes.
Albert Pike, also said that we will give them a hero when they need one.
And how ironic that it was the day before 9/11. I said ironic, not coincidence.
I was just going to say, why didn't you use the word coincidence?
Because that's where we needed a hero. America needed something.
Right. Just like 9/11, bring people together. So, we have to leave our mind open. We can't stick to dogma. It wasn't, this is fact, and we don't have all the conclusions. We don't know the full truth. Do we even know what happened to Kennedy?
I was going to say, how many years we still don't know the truth behind Kennedy. We don't know it. And
Sirhan, who was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, is in prison right now for the Robert F. Kennedy assassination, even though he doesn't remember being there, and none of his bullets were the ones that Bobby Kennedy. There's a program out right now on this network called Angel Studios, and Robert F. Kennedy,
right,
his son, is interviewed. Sirhan is interviewed, but they talk about Robert talks about his father's death and how each of the bullets came. They had that carbon, so they were contact.
Okay.
Sirhan was a distance in front of Bobby. None of his bullets were the bullets that hit Bobby. all 6 bullets came from behind, no more than an inch, half inch away from his body. So now look back at the pictures, who was there. That brings more conspiracy theories. We might not have the truth, but we can draw logical conclusions, right?
Mhm.
Conclusions that are our own and not the dogma that we're being told.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So much like sounds so like what we're going through with Charlie Kirk right now.
Exactly. And we don't know what the purpose of this is. Who's moving the needle and why? Is it those that tried to kill Christ? You know, the genocidal freaks? Or is it those from the Mary Magdalene line, those that, are for life and liberty? It's really what it boils down to, and where we're at. So, good talk with you. Very good talk. It should be interesting, though, to see how this governing body, the Pope class that was just excommunicated, how
Yes.
that plays out, especially that it's connected around the vaccine. One of the things that Brian and I were excommunicated, one of the first things that I felt in the world, the cult of my childhood.
Yes.
You remember you were at my house, you had come to visit me when I was awakening to that reality, that this genocidal cult that was my religion of my youth didn't stop when I exited it. Huh.
Right. You
It's like,
just entered a new one.
what's that frog jumping in the frying pan? Right?
Oh, out of the fire into the frying pan,
Yeah.
or out of the
Yeah.
frying pan to the fire, however you want to go with that one.
Yeah. Right. Either way, the frog's getting cooked.
Right.
Or the slow boil. These things happen over time. So, like the Zionist plan, the one that Charles Taze Russell, the founder of Jehovah's Witnesses, was a part of, who
Mhm.
played an instrumental role in this, right? That Zionist plan has been in the works for 100 years and 200 years and other years before that. This has been a continuation of the plan of those that strategically abuse us. What did you call us? White trash?
Yes, we're the white trash, bottom of the barrel.
Right. That's where the Epstein clients are coming from.
Yeah.
These girls are the ones that are working in the health clubs, not going to the health clubs. They're the help. They're just like Hitler. His mother,
on blue eyes.
yeah, but his mother was the help. She was the housemaid of the Rothschilds, and their son raped her and impregnated her, and that's where Hitler came from. He's a bastard Rothschild, but the white trash, the help, it's the same throughout history. We are the ones that are targeted, and that's why it's our stories, not just mine from the Jehovah's Witnesses, even yours. Rick, we're just gonna need a couple more minutes here. Our family history. This is all about breaking generational curses.
Yes.
And
it's a process. It's not just something that happens in one generation.
No, and it's ecumenical. See, and that's
the curse breaking doesn't happen in one generation. It
Right.
is.
Just like with the Zionist plan, it grows over time, and over time we become more subjugated to their system and more confined to the point where you can't have a job unless you take this vaccine. You have to believe this way or you will die. You can't say that. You can't think that if you want to live in this society.
Right.
See? So I really hope that if anyone picks anything out of Charlie Kirk's death, whether you're a liberal or a conservative, I hope that you take from Charlie's death freedom of thought. Think for yourself. Don't be afraid to think for yourself and keep talking. Just like you and I always say, Bree, once the children stop playing in the dirt, that's when we're all going to get sick and die, because kids need the germs, right?
Exactly.
We need dialogue, and we need variances in belief systems in order to fully experience this world and to
Right.
develop. Yeah. So, do you have anything else you want to add before we say goodnight?
Love you.
I love you too. Yeah. Thanks for coming on tonight.
You're welcome.
You gonna be watching the Charlie Kirk presentation tomorrow?
Parts of it. I don't have to. It's been
Yeah.
a lot. Like I said, it's been a lot. It was really been kind of reliving. You know, this was Dakota's 10-year anniversary this year, and it's been a lot.
It is a lot. And then
And I guess, because for me, I didn't. There were so many. Again, I did mention that my son's case is a cold case. Cold cases don't happen because the job was extremely well done.
Right.
So that's where it's hard for me not to go down conspiracy rabbit holes with Charlie's case, because I see so many discrepancies.
Things that are broken. The system is really broken. And I do believe it's because we, the people, have allowed the minority to scream.
So you mean we've allowed the exception to the rule become the rule?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where we get the exception is no longer the exception. And then when somebody like the good old American poster child boy, Charlie Kirk, I mean, if you look back at Norman Rockwell's paintings, Charlie Kirk is the little boy that would have
all of them. Wow.
He would have grown up. The little boys in those paintings would have grown up to be Charlie Kirk.
Yep.
For right, for wrong, for whatever the dogma. But what I do love about what I'm learning about Charlie was that even though he was a friend of Israel, he didn't allow his thought process to just stay stagnant. He was looking at new things, and he was also giving people that maybe believed differently than he did, such as Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, I know is a popular one that speaks out against Israel. So I think maybe we're more alike than we are different, and I hope people start noticing that.
Yes.
We're all human, and we need to keep talking, just like the kids should be playing in the dirt. We need to keep talking. So thank you for talking tonight and sharing your story and your experience with us, and how has shaped your view on our evolving world. I love you. Thank you for coming tonight.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Rick, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for setting up. We love your dedication and doing the show from the road. You're absolutely amazing and a good friend.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Well, I want to thank Bree for coming on too. We really appreciate her presence. Thank you, Bree, for coming on to Stephanie's program tonight. And Stephanie, keep up the good work. Keep cranking away at it. And hey, the best is yet to come. But thank you very much for bearing with us tonight. And even though we had some little technical issues at first, thank you, Steph. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
That sounds great. Thank you. And I want to give a shout out to Shirley. If she makes it this far in this video, Shirley, I see all of your comments. I read them. For whatever reason, I have a hard time keeping up with them all, but I do see them. I read them. Appreciate your input, and just know that we're all fighting the same fight together.
Well, it's Cheryl. I think she goes by Cheryl.
Yeah.
Cheryl.
Yes,
And
that's
at times she makes some nasty comments. She can be a little at times, but I don't in any way take any of her comments away. We don't do that here at Six Queens. We let everyone have a voice. A lot of other YouTubers, what they do is they delete comments. We don't delete any. But I have to tell you that Cheryl has been, I believe she's been really hurt by the Watchtower. And she's got some issues she's dealing with, but we always appreciate her commenting. I wish sometimes she could be a little nicer to people. But hey, listen, it's different strokes for different folks, but don't let it bother you. Don't let it bother you.
I just want her to know that I hear her, and I'm going to tell her my email here right now. So if she wants to email me, she can email me. I have a better response from there. Probably it's paying, PAYING, the number 4, sins, SINS, of, OF, others, OTHERS, @gmail.com. Paying for sins of others @gmail.com.
Well, thank you, Stephanie, and thank you, Bree, for coming on with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night. Have a good night, Rick.
Thank you. Hey, Jimmy Bell, I see that you're on there. I got JW World News coming up next. I mean, if you got something to say, I'd love to hear what you have to say, Jimmy, if you hear me. So we got JW World News coming up next right here on the Six Screens Tele Network. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. So we'll see if we can't get Jimmy to come in. I know he's got a lot to say, so we'll just go very slow with Jimmy. I know this has been a rough couple of weeks for him, but he's got some things I'm sure he wants to share with us. So Jimmy Bell, if you want to come on to the Six Screens JW World News, that's coming up next. We're going to end this program right here. Thank you, Stephanie and Bree, for coming on. Okay, let's end that right here.